Welcome to Nomad Media, Automotive Tales, where we tell vehicle stories, a little bit of history, and some unique and personal experiences. Let's get right into it. So for today, I'll be telling you about my 1948 Dodge B1-D1 wrecker. So this truck here, it's a car lot truck, as you can clearly see by the door. Evers Motor Company is a business in Dadeville, Alabama, which my family has owned since the early 40s. Around 1948, give or take, sometime around in that time, the business itself had acquired a dealership license where we were also a Plymouth dealership. So if you notice on the door here, this circle, which is highly faded out at this point, it used to say DeSoto Plymouth Approved Service. And I'll put a picture on the screen of what this originally looked like. But this was the truck that we used as a service vehicle during that time in the business's life. When OEM dealerships back in the day got that OEM manufacturer approved service, you were required to have a service vehicle, and this was the service vehicle for our family's shop. This truck here, it was in service from 1948 until 1991, which is approximately the time that Plymouth closed its doors. And yeah, so this truck was bought new by my great-granddad, which I was not actually aware of when I originally started hunting the truck down. I thought it was my granddad's truck, brand new, but apparently my great-granddad's actually the one who bought the truck brand new. When he passed away, it went to my grandfather, and he used it from the time that he had it all the way up to, like I said, 1991. So I've been searching for this truck for a while now, and I think it's been approximately 3 to 4 years, give or take, that I've been looking for this truck. And why you may ask I was looking for it? Well, my granddad, after the Plymouth dealership closed its doors, he sold the truck. There was no need to have a service vehicle if we didn't have a business that required a service vehicle, so he sold the truck. Since then, the truck changed hands quite a few times. It went to a local wrecker business at one point. Then it was sold to somebody in Georgia who had the intentions to use it as a movie prop or a movie truck or something like that. Unfortunately, it never became a movie truck, but I'm kind of glad it didn't, because who knows if it would have survived in the state that it's in now, which the way it is right now is almost the exact way that my granddad had sold the truck in 1991. So it's an absolute time capsule as to the way it is right now. The mural on the door and everything is the exact way. And what's really cool about this is Evers Motor Company, Dadeville, Alabama, is hand painted on. So it's very delicate and things like that. I'm trying my dangest to make sure it doesn't go away, get washed away or something, like that. It would be very unfortunate. But this truck itself, it actually runs and drives very well, surprisingly. But it has the original flat 6 under the hood. And all the gauges and lights and turn signals, all that stuff works. The wrecker itself as well works, but it's a hand crank, so it's a little hard to mess up, But anyways, back to the story about finding this truck. So it's been out of our family for about 32 years when I found it, something around that time frame, about 32 years. And I actually didn't know this truck existed until about 3 to 4 years ago. I had never seen pictures of it, I'd never heard about it or anything like that. It was kind of a freak accident that I actually did learn about it. So what had happened was the owner at the time, about 3 or 4 years ago, and I would assume a little bit later than that, the current owner of the truck had come into our shop at Evers Motor Company in Dadeville, and was asking for either information or seeing if we were interested in buying it back. Well, we didn't want to buy it back at the time. I mean, I would have if I would have been there to actually have heard the guy's offer and stuff, but you know, everybody that was available that day was not interested if that was the case. And with the stories, if that was the case, I'm not really sure why he came in here. Maybe it's for memorabilia. But anyways, we didn't get it back that day. We didn't take any information down or anything. But my younger brother had walked in and actually talked to the guy before he had left and saw the pictures and everything. Well, word traveled through the grapevine to my cousin, and my cousin was interested in buying the truck if he could have found it. So my cousin is a little bit older than I am, and he actually remembers when this truck was in service. And he had been searching for it at that time for 20 years. So he had been on the hunt for a long time, didn't know if it was even still around, like if it got crushed or what. But he was searching for it on his own time and stuff as well, and my brother told him about it. Well, he knew it was around still, so the search continues. Well, at this time, roughly 3 to 4 years ago, I was living in Indiana for work, and I came back down to Dadeville for vacation, essentially, like come down to hang out and everything, and I was hanging out with my cousin. Well, my cousin mentioned that the owner of this record come into our shop. I was like, what are you talking about, a record? Like, we don't have a record. I didn't even know it. I didn't even know about it. And that's when I had finally learned that, hey, we had a shop vehicle, like an actual truck with the logo and stuff on the door, where, you know, it's something that would have been really cool to still own, or at least see, you know, like if I could find it just to see it. And so that's where I started my search for it. At that time, I was big into cars and still am to this day. Like, y'all probably seen some of the episodes of The Charger, and, you know, I'll link that in the description so that you can go watch that one if you're interested in it as well. But, you know, I'm still interested in cars, but I basically, I just went and I casted the widest net that I could, trying to, like, just have feelers out, people looking for it and things like that. And I knew people all the way out to Utah and all the way up to Maine. And, you know, unfortunately that never panned out. But as you can see, I got the truck, so something did happen at some point. Well, that something was April 2023. It was 2 weeks into it because I was getting the Charger prepared for Moparfest at the Battleship. And if you haven't seen the Battleship, there's another video I'll link in the description as well. You can go watch that one too. But I was getting the Charger prepared for Moparfest at the Battleship by redoing the front end on it. You know, I was doing all the bushings and bearings and stuff. And at that time, I drove it up to the shop. It was actually, I had it parked right behind where this truck is right now, doing that work myself on the floor and everything. And my dad's business partner had come into the shop, and he said, "Brian, what do you know about that old wrecker your granddad used to own?" I said, "Not a whole heck of a lot. Like, what do you know about it?" He didn't know I was actually looking for the truck, but I'm glad he brought it up. He said he had seen it a few months prior, which was about 6 months prior, so not a few, but he said he had seen it a few months prior over in Georgia at a car show, and the guy was looking to sell it. And I was like, "Oh man, did you get his phone number, name, anything?" No, he didn't. But the guy was planning to sell it through a dealer. He gave me the name of the dealer. I went to their website and I started hunting for it, which, you know, I didn't necessarily like the idea of it being at a dealer, but hey, at least it gives me something to investigate. So I go online, I look up the dealer, and I find their website. I start looking through their inventory, it's not there. Well, I do a little bit more investigation and I find that they have a sold listings on their inventory. Well, I go down, like I say, didn't know this vehicle existed till 3 to 4 years ago. Didn't know what it looked like either. Like, I mean, didn't even know this was a thing. So I don't know what I'm looking for other than the little bit of information I got from my cousin about the truck, like it was a Dodge, you know, and things like that. So I'm looking through their Dodge section. Lo and behold, it was about third or fourth vehicle down on their sold listings. Dodge B1-D1 wrecker. and it had Evers motor on the door, and I was like, this has to be the truck. I mean, I don't think there's another Dadeville, Alabama in the world, so I was pretty sure this was the truck. And I couldn't believe I'd found it. Well, what I did after finding that, I was like, obviously people would think I just called the dealer, but first I wanted to tell my cousin. So I called my cousin up, and I said, man, I think I found the truck. Like, can you confirm this for me and everything? And boy, was he excited. He was excited that I'd found it. Like, he wanted to buy it himself, but the dealer didn't have it, so I was gonna, try to track it down still and try to get my hands on it and everything, which he was fine with. And well, I called the dealer. The dealer didn't have it. They had obviously sold it, but they wouldn't give me the contact's name either, or who had bought the truck, which is unfortunate, but that's a reality of the world. You're not allowed to give out people's information during business. So understood, but this creates the negative side of working with a dealership, where they're holding leverage over you just to get more money. But besides that, though, I ended up getting them to contact the guy. We worked out a deal, and lo and behold, I got it. From that dealer, they had actually sold it to a gentleman in Texas. I believe he was located in Austin, Texas. And so I'm really glad that I found the lead when I did, because it could have really disappeared quick, it being, halfway across the nation. But it was in Austin, Texas, though, and the guy was willing to sell it back to the original owner's grandson. So I was like, okay, this is great. Well, I bought it, and here it is today. I tell you, I couldn't be more ecstatic about owning this truck. It is one of the most fun things to drive around. You get tons of looks in it. Of course, when it comes to car shows and things, we'll be doing all sorts of stuff with it, showing it off, telling the history. We'll have the storyboards and stuff made, and it's just going to be a lot of fun, But this is one of those things that it's a family heirloom at this point. There's 3 generations of Evers that have owned it. I wish there was 4, but it skipped a generation with my dad. But this is something that I'm like, as long as I'm alive, it'll never leave the Evers family. I might sell it to a different Evers, or give it to them, whatever it may be, but it'll never leave the Evers family. This is one of those things that you just have to take it, keep it, and love it. This is an absolute time capsule. When you go into the interior too, let me talk a little bit about that. You'll see, I'm gonna be posting pictures up right here, but you'll see that on the seat and things, there's like duct tape and things like that. That duct tape was put on originally by my granddad, which, just makes it all the more special, and it's just it adds character to the truck, in my opinion. It's one of those things that you don't really want to fix, because if you fix it, it defeats when I say original, the originality to the owner that put it there, like my granddad. There's also things like all the gauges in this truck works, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Well, let me rephrase that. Most of the gauges work. The temperature gauge is currently disconnected because there's a modern temperature gauge in it. And then I actually haven't put a full tank of gas in this truck at this point, so I'm not 100% sure that the fuel gauge works. But all the rest of the gauges work. The speedometer, the amp meter, there's another one up there that I'm forgetting, but all those gauges work. I'm sure you'll see it in the pictures. Lights come on, blinkers work, runs and drives. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better truck to have, especially one that has so much history with your family. There's a few pictures, or there's a few stickers in it as well that I'm going to show on screen that are just showing the address to Evers Motor Company, when it was Evers Plymouth, because it has the Evers Plymouth header on it, which is really cool in my opinion and stuff. But yeah, this is a straight up time capsule for us, and we're absolutely ecstatic to have it back in the family. And with that, I say it's a running, driving truck. Let's get into hearing this thing run. And there you have it. That's my 1948 Dodge B1-D1 wrecker. Man, this thing was like, it took some time to track this thing down. And you know, now that I have it, I'm extremely happy. The only thing I got to leave y'all with on this is, if there's something that your family owned like this truck and you think it may still be out there, or you know it's still out there, go try to track it down. Like, you probably won't regret it in the long run, especially if you like cars at all. Like, and even if you don't like cars, this might be your avenue to getting into them. Get into an old vehicle that somebody in the family used to own, because then you have a reason to keep it running and a reason to work on it and a reason to love it. You know, so go on and give it a shot. Like, nothing's impossible. You might find that treasure in the rough like I did. But with that, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
See you at the next car show, okay?
And there you have it, folks, my 1948 Dodge B1-D1 wrecker. Thanks for watching. Be sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.